Well, good afternoon. It is Thursday, October the 24th. We're going to go straight into the King James Bible. This is 1 Kings chapter 6. And it came to pass in the 480th year, after the children of Israel were come out of the land of Egypt, in the 4th year of Solomon's reign over Israel, in the month Ziph, which is the 2nd month, that he began to build the house of the Lord. And the house which King Solomon built for the Lord, the length thereof was 80 cubits, and the breadth thereof 20 cubits, and the height thereof 30 cubits. And the porch before the temple of the house, 20 cubits was the length thereof, according to the breadth of the house. And 10 cubits was the breadth thereof before the house. And for the house he made windows of narrow lights. And against the wall of the house he built chambers round about, against the walls of the house round about, both of the temple and of the oracle, and he made chambers round about. The nethermost chamber was 5 cubits broad, and the middle was 6 cubits broad. And the third was 7 cubits broad. For without in the wall of the house he made narrow rests round about, that the beams should not be fastened in the walls of the house. And the house, when it was in building, was built of stone made ready before it was brought thither, so that there was neither hammer nor axe nor any tool of iron heard in the house while it was building. The door of the middle chamber was in the right side of the house, and they went up with winding stairs into the middle chamber, and out of the middle into the third. So he built the house and finished it, and covered the house with beams and boards of cedar. Then he built chambers against all the house, 5 cubits high. They rested on the house with the timber of cedar. And the word of the Lord came to Solomon, saying, Concerning this house which thou art in building, if thou wilt walk in my statutes and execute my judgments, and keep all my commandments to walk in them, then will I perform my word with thee, which I spake unto David thy father. And I will dwell among the children of Israel, and will not forsake my people Israel. So Solomon built the house and finished it. And he built the walls of the house within the boards of cedar, both the floor of the house and the walls of the ceiling, and he covered them on the inside with wood, and he covered the floor of the house with planks of fir. And he built 20 cubits on the sides of the house, both the floor and the walls with boards of cedar. He even built them for it within, even for the oracle, even for the most holy place. And the house, that is the temple before it, was 40 cubits long. And the cedar of the house within was carved with knops and open flowers. All was cedar, there was no stone seen. And the oracle he prepared in the house within, to set there the ark of the covenant of the Lord. And the oracle in the forepart was 20 cubits in length, 20 cubits in breadth, and 20 cubits in height thereof. And he overlaid it with pure gold, and so covered the altar, which was of cedar. So Solomon overlaid the house within pure gold, and he made a partition by chains of gold before the oracle, and he overlaid it with gold. And the whole house he overlaid with gold until he had finished all the house. Also the whole altar was by the oracle he overlaid with gold. And within the oracle he made 2 cherubims of olive tree, each 10 cubits high. And 5 cubits was the one wing of the cherub, and 5 cubits the other wing of the cherub. From the uttermost part of one wing to the uttermost part of the other were 10 cubits. And the other cherub was 10 cubits. Both the cherubims were of one measure and one size. And the height of one cherub was 10 cubits, and so it was of the other cherub. And he set the cherubims, within the inner house. And they stretched forth the wings of the cherubim, so that the wing of one touched the one wall, and the wing of the other cherub touched the other wall. And their wings touched one another in the midst of the house. And he overlaid the cherubims with gold. And he carved all the walls of the house round about with carved figures of cherubims and palm trees and open flowers within and without. And the floor of the house he overlaid with gold within and without. And for the entering of the oracle he made doors of olive tree. The lintel and side posts were a fifth part of the wall. The two doors were also of olive tree. And he carved upon them carvings of cherubims and palm trees and open flowers, and overlaid them with gold. And spread gold upon the cherubims and upon the palm trees. So also made he for the door of the temple posts of the olive tree, a fourth part of the wall. And the two doors were of fir tree, and the two leaves of one door were folding, and the two leaves of the other door were folding. And he carved thereon cherubims and palm trees and open flowers, and covered them with gold fitted upon the carved work. And he built the inner court with 3 rows of hewed stone, and a row of cedar beams. In the 4th year was the foundation of the house of the Lord laid in the month Ziph, and in the 11th year, in the month Bul, which is the 8th month, was the house finished, throughout all the parts thereof, according to all the fashion of it. So was he 7 years in building it. Amen. Isn't it amazing? I mean, look at that in chapter 20, in verse 20. The oracle in length of 4 parts, 20 cubits in length, 20 cubits in breadth, and 20 cubits in height, 4 square. Amazing, isn't it? Heaven's going to be 4 square, 1,400 miles by 1,400 miles by 1,400 miles. But notice how everything here is overlaid in gold. Do you remember how we were talking about the temple before in the wilderness, and there were the colors, the the purple, the blue, and the reds, and you can imagine the colors, and the brass and the silver, but here it's gold everywhere, overlaid with gold, and the carvings and the cedar wood. I mean, just to have all that cedar, it must have smelled gorgeous. Must have been just, I love, working with cedar and cedar sawdust and the smell of cedar. It's beautiful wood, really is. Gorgeous color. Beautiful wood to work with. But notice how the doors were folding doors, Nothing new there, folding doors. Amazing. So they could fold back and out the way without taking up too much room. Marvelous when you think about it. But you can also understand why, when the Romans burned the temple, ultimately, this temple got destroyed by, his name's gone out of my head now. This temple was destroyed anyway, when the Israelites went into Nebuchadnezzar. When the Israelites went into 70 years captivity, until it was rebuilt again. But, the same techniques were used. And you can see how the wood would just have caught fire. And you look at it on the outside and all you can see is stone. And you think, how can that burn, But there was all this wood and the beams holding up the ceiling. And, of course, when the stones get hot, they burst, and the intense heat. So quite incredible. But there we have it. There we have it, the first temple built. Solomon with the cherubims and the carvings, palm trees and flowers. Oh man. You could just picture it, can't you? The cherubims, he says, they were 10 cubits, and they were out there with the stretched wings, one wing touching the wall and the other 2 wings, 2 cherubs touching in the middle. And then the far side cherubim, he was touching that wall. Incredible, You You can just picture it in your mind how beautiful it must have been. Must have been one of the most fantastic things to have seen in the day like that. Still would be fantastic to see it today. So God gives us all of this because he loves us. He wants us to know exactly what took place, how things looked, and how he was honored, and his house was built. And I love you too. Okay. Hope you have a great day, the rest of it. Sorry it's a bit late today. I got just so busy this morning, and then when I finished work, I went and gave blood for a second time, so I'm quite proud of that. Especially as, I'm sure during the hurricanes, there's been a lot of need for blood and down there. Tragedy struck, so it's nice to be able to do something to put back. Have a great day, and I'll speak to you tomorrow. Bye for now.